The next individual in our exciting lineup is somebody that you definitely want to listen to. Now, I met Mathew, believe it or not, just by reaching out via LinkedIn. And he was kind enough to accept my connection. Over the last few months, we've built a great friendship, but most of you know his daughter, of course, being Beyonce Knowles. But what a lot of you don't know about Mathew is Mathew actually started his career in sales, working for Xerox. That's what brought him here to Houston, Texas. We're both here in Houston together. Worked for Xerox for a few years and then got involved in medical device sales. And then obviously, as most people know him, he created Music World Entertainment and was the producer, obviously, behind the very popular Destiny's Child. He has been a music producer. He's interacted with and done business with some of the other largest record labels around the world, like Sony, like Geffen. Most people obviously know him for Destiny's Child, his daughters, Beyonce and Solange, as well as Kelly Rowland. But what a lot of people also don't know about him now is that he's also a professor and really teaching his entrepreneurial skills and taking his entrepreneurial spirit to students that basically want to learn how to be better entrepreneurs. So with that, I want to go ahead and bring on our next presenter, Mr. Mathew Knowles. Mathew, you there? How are you today, sir?
I'm here. Can you see and hear me?
Absolutely. I'm going to go ahead and make sure we can all see you. I do hear you.
Can you see me?
On your screen down at the bottom, go ahead and unclick yourself there.
Where it says start video or start video?
Yep.
You know you're teaching me all of this
there
stuff.
There you are. We see you now, Mathew. We see you and we hear you. You're live. Well, welcome to Conquer the Crisis. You're looking great. You're looking dapper as ever. I want to go ahead and bring you on and introduce you because you and I have got a connection. I know I had you on my podcast. If any of you would like to see the tremendous podcast I did with Mathew, go to my website, bradblazer.com, to the podcast page. There's a great podcast where we shared some great information. But Mathew, it's all yours for the next 25 minutes. I know you're going to deliver a great message here. So take it over, big guy.
Thank you so much, Brad. Brad knows that I'm learning technology as we all go through a different phase of our lives, and we will be doing things differently. But first, I want to also thank thank Roland for his message. I got to hear the second half of it, very, very informative, and I just want to thank you, Roland, for that. So, I just do me, guys. I often, when I'm talking or speaking, I often start out by just saying, in my vulnerability lies my safety. And I say that, it just kind of centers me. It helps me to give you the authentic self of me. So I just want to have a conversation. I don't want to lecture. I don't want to give a speech. I just want to give a conversation this afternoon. And it started, actually, I was looking, we live in Houston and we have the stay-at-home laws here, as most of you. So we've been here in the apartment for the last week. So last couple of nights ago, I was looking out of our bedroom window, and there's this beautiful park where kids play and skate. And then behind that is our convention center. And to the right and to the left are two major hotels. And folks, there was no one. We're talking 8 p.m. There was no one out. And it was such an eerie feeling of stillness, of quietness, and of peace. And it reminded me, I was in New York the day of 9/11, and 2 nights staying in the hotel there, I walked outside, and it was the exact same feeling of that stillness and quiet and peace. And sometimes we are running so fast in our personal lives, in our professional lives, that we never take a chance to stop because we're running so fast. I think this is our opportunity to just stop for a minute. And so I always like to have a title. So I thought I just titled this conversation, Change and Adaptation, because I think that's where we are right now. We're in a element of change and adaptation. And what really does that mean? It means that we have to alter our behavior. Really, if we take it down to the smallest denominator, it's about altering our behavior. And that's not easy for us. That's not easy for me. We have to modify and adjust. And I think we all are adjusting right now. But there's a chaotic piece of self, I call it. There's a chaotic piece of me where sometimes change is hard because we internalize change. You know, we've all been programmed, unfortunately, starting from a young kid, that we had to do it a certain way. Or I couldn't do it because. And what are those reasons why we couldn't do it? You know, we've been conditioned that we can't do things because we're poor. You know, I can't do it because I'm Black. I can't do it because I'm not rich. I'm not smart. I'm part of a different community. But the faster we embrace change, the faster we can move on. And so that's what I'm asking today, is that we embrace change and that we actually move on with our lives. And let me tell you, folks, there's going to be a period of time before we can take that breath, before that curve flattens out. And I think we all have to be ready for that. And we all have to, in an attempt to alter and to modify and to adjust our behavior, I think we're going to make some mistakes. And I know I'm going to make some mistakes. And I think the importance of when that we have mistakes and we have failure, that we understand carefully that it's an opportunity to grow, not a reason to quit. And often that's what we do. These next days, we certainly will make those mistakes. And it just reminds me, I'm just talking, just having a conversation with you. You know, last July was a tough month for me. And 1 week, you know, it started out by me, and some of you have shared this story. I had just a red dot on my t-shirt. And the next day, that same, if you think of a piece of paper and you had a pen, just a red dot on it. And then the third day, well, you know, as Brad shared with you, I did 20 years of diagnostic imaging and actually sold mammography equipment. And I knew that wasn't right. And so I asked my wife, I said, you know, I keep seeing this red dot. And then she tells me, you know, when I cleaned the sheets, I saw this red dot as well. Well, it turned out that that was male chest cancer. That's the word I use rather than breast cancer. I don't think that's appropriate for men. But I had male chest cancer. And in that 1 week, I had a mammogram, I had a biopsy, and I had surgery. In the moment that that doctor said to me, Mr. Knowles, you have cancer, I immediately went to something, a moment in my life. And it was a moment I'll share with you. I was going down an escalator in Los Angeles at LAX. And this nun from Mexico had a card. And she asked, please give to the missionary. She gave the card after I gave. Took me several days to read the back of that card. And I want to share what was on that back of that card because it's very appropriate now. It said, pray not for a life free from trouble. Pray for triumph over trouble. For what you and I call adversity, God, the universe, whatever words you want to use, calls opportunity. So the question is that we have a health crisis. We have an economic crisis. what could be the opportunity inside of this? Well, I can see many opportunities. I've spoken to a lot of my friends who have college kids, high school kids, and they're all saying, we're spending so much quality time together as a family. We're having dinner together, lunch together, we're watching TV, playing games together. Change is the opportunity. Look, I realize now I was the one who fought change at my office, at my company. I didn't want people to work at home because I thought, hey, if they work at home, I'm not going to get the productivity that I would get if they were working in the office. I was wrong. I was wrong. And I'm finding that I'm actually getting even greater productivity by folks working at home. I thought I needed this huge office space. I thought it was important that it was big and I got to show all of the awards. Well, change has happened for me. And modifying my behavior and adjusting. I don't need that today. Many of us are going to see this change and adaptation in our lives, that some things we just don't need. What was it for me that made me feel that I needed that big office? It was my ego. It was my ego. And I often like to share my definition of ego. Ego is the anesthesia that deadens the pain of stupidity. So I was working on ego, but today is change and adaptation. And that's the beauty that we have today is change and adaptation. We're looking at social connectivity and social media and social learning and social distancing. But one of the most important things of social connectivity is that we understand social courage. And what do I mean by social courage? That we speak up, we speak out, we speak against. When we see someone doing something and we know it's not the thing that should be done, and it could be as simple as in a line and not taking the 6 feet that we should in our distance from each other. It could be somebody simply sneezing or coughing and not putting their elbow up. Social courage is when you go up and say, excuse me, I would prefer if you didn't do that. That's social courage. Social courage can be used in many ways. When we speak up, speak out, speak against xenophobia, homophobia, racism, sexism, all the isms in our life. We're given this opportunity to change and adapt. And it's a beautiful thing. In our businesses, I taught, I've learned that perfection is the enemy of profitability. Perfection is the enemy of profitability. We often fight very hard to be perfect. But in business, that can certainly hurt profitability. But I also think that same profession, being a perfectionist, affects us in our daily lives and our interfacing with others. But this is an opportunity for us, folks. We look at the coronavirus, and yes, it's been very tough. I quarantined myself without talking to anyone. 3 weeks ago, I was in Sacramento. I was doing a book signing and really didn't understand this, shook over 150 hands, took photos. 2 weeks ago, I was in San Diego at Barnes & Noble doing the same thing. And we came back to Houston, my wife and I, and I've been frightened. That's the vulnerability I wanted to share. I was frightened that, maybe I got this thing. But I'm just very grateful. Today is the 14th day from San Diego. I've been here at home, and I'm feeling great. And I just want to share just something. You know, I could talk all day. It's kind of like, you know, Brad introduced me that I'm Beyonce and Solange's dad. You know, whenever Beyonce performs, there's a point where I always know that she's hit the zone, and I can tell that I just hit the zone. And when I hit the zone, man, I'm ready to really go, and I could really talk to you guys for hours now. But I'm gonna certainly stick to the program. But I did want to just share some last thoughts with you. And by the way, I think this is important that I say, as a breast cancer, chest cancer survivor, you know, it's important that I say, just for me, that there's 1.7 million Americans last year who were diagnosed with some form of cancer. 1.7 million, of which in 2018, don't have the 2019 numbers, there were 610,000 deaths. So I just want you to put this all in proportion. I don't want us to forget that we're in a crisis in health, not just with the coronavirus, but also with cancer and heart disease. And the key to all of that is early detection, early detection, early detection. So, you know, about a month ago, actually about 2 months ago, I was in Dallas and I was giving a lecture, and I checked in a hotel, and the bellman was kind enough. I had a box with books I was going to sign. And so he and I went up the elevator, and we were walking to my room, and guys, we had walked quite a distance, and this was the longest hallway I've ever seen. And I asked him, I said, "Sir, like, where's my room?" He said, "Well, Mr. Knowles, you're at the end of the hallway." I said, "Boy, this is a long, long walk." And he looked at me, and he actually said, "Dr. Knowles," he said, "No, Dr. Knowles, it's not the destination. It's the journey." And that's where we are right now today. That's where you are in your life. It's not the destination. It's the journey. How are we going to walk through this journey? Hopefully we walk through this journey as better people, as better fathers, better husbands, wives, better business people. Hopefully this journey for all of us help us bring love together in our lives and lead by example and leadership. And I know all of you will. I just, again, I want to thank Brad. Change and adaptation. That's where we are today. And I just want to say thank you. Brad?
I'm back here. How are you? Thank you so much, Matthew. Great, great, powerful words. I see all of the attendees making comments about a lot of the comments and a lot of the things that you shared. Both excellent from the entrepreneurial perspective, but really just some wonderful philosophical thoughts and comments about life in general. I loved the comment that you made about how, you know, when there's trouble in your life, you don't become defeated. There's obviously a very common theme that we've seen in the first three panelists, you and of course Coach Burt and the others. But I see that when you made some of the great comments, that a lot of the people that were the attendees said, "Wow, those words are so powerful. They really moved me." So thank you so much for delivering such a tremendous message and making yourself available. As the rest of us, of course, around the world, you know, we're all doing what we can. Be safe, maintain your social distancing, obviously, as you said, and continue to have a blessed and an enjoyable weekend. I really appreciate you for making yourself available today.
Thank you, Brad. And I'm sure we're going to have a wonderful afternoon listening to the rest of the speakers. God bless to all of you.
Thank you so much, Matthew. Thank you.